Hey guys, Carl from Purple Misplaced. Today I'm taking a preview look at a prototype copy of the upcoming print and play roll and write game Dungeon Pages Underboss from designers Jason Greeno and Jason Tagmire and publisher PNP Arcade. This is actually a follow-up to their previous hit Dungeon Pages, which was a sort of roll and write dungeon crawler style game that had new maps and new characters coming out pretty much once per month, and I think they've done a second expansion on that as well, sort of taking it above ground and adding in side quests and so on. With this time, they're actually flipping things on its head. Now you are controlling the boss of the dungeon with heroes coming into your dungeon, and you're trying to sort of fight them off, prevent them from getting treasures, and ultimately survive their their attack into your dungeon without losing too much treasure, and also eliminating as many of the heroes along the way as possible. Disclaimer, I was given advance access to this PNP copy of this game for this video by the publisher, but as always I will do my best to give you my own honest opinion on the game. With that said, let's head down to the table to see how this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. Before I get started, I do want to point out that this is a prototype copy of the game that I have been given advance access to, which means this is a game that will have many different sort of variants to it, and I've only been given access to the first, or to a single one of those. I also want to point out that the rules seem to still be sort of being worked on, so there are some vagaries that I've managed to work through by talking to one of the designers, but there is still a chance that I might make some mistakes along the way, or that things will change between now and when the product actually gets fulfilled. So with that said, to set up a game of Dungeon Pages Underboss, simply begin by placing out the printed page on the table. You will see that here there are dotted lines here and here, and that's because, as I mentioned, there will be more versions of this coming out, and you will be able to mix and match the bosses, the different maps, and the different heroes that are coming into those maps. Otherwise, the only thing else that you need to play is a pencil and some dice. You're going to need two sets of 2 dice in 2 different colors. So here I've got green and white. Doesn't matter what colors they are, so long as they are 2 different colors. And with that, we are all set up for gameplay. So a game of Dungeon Pages Underboss is going to play out over a series of 3 different dungeons in this sort of world. Here we're playing in Highmount Village, which is known as the birthplace of Cullop Treepond. And we've got the Crypt, Red Eagle Inn, and the Sewers for this version of the game that I'm playing. And again, I will be playing through these dungeons left to right, but there is a chance that I could win the game before getting through all 3 of these dungeons if I do manage to eliminate all of the heroes. But you'll see how that works as we get into gameplay. So we are starting in the leftmost dungeon over here, the Crypt. And the first thing you're going to do when you begin each dungeon is to look at this crystal total right here, which right now says 4. And I'm going to use those crystals to spend on boss abilities from this space up here. And then those boss abilities will be added into sort of my boss area over here. So I am going to be playing as Thera, the Fallen Knight. And it says Thera has forsaken her fellow knights and the school. So you will see, I'm going to bring this up close for you. I have 4 crystals to spend from this dungeon. And my options here are, I can buy a rune for 2 crystals. That says, during gameplay I can cross out a shade, which is one of the monsters this boss can generate, to prevent 1 damage per rune, and then deal 1 damage back to the attacker. We've got Bash here that actually costs nothing, so I can add as many of those as I want to my boss area. And those are going to require me to spend a 4, 5, or 6, which I'll show you later, to deal 1 damage to the space where I've placed this Bash. Armor costs 1 crystal. It's free to use, but not really, because I do need to discard one of my unused dice to prevent 1 damage. Over here, Slash costs me 1 crystal, and it's similar to Bash, but it only activates on a 6. And this will allow me to deal 1 damage to the space where it is, also giving the hero the condition Bleed. And Bleed says when the hero takes damage, I'm going to increase the damage by 1. So I need to spend crystals to put these into my dungeon. And I say my dungeon, but what I really mean is my sort of boss grid up here. And what this means is, after I add things to this grid, I need to draw this shape somewhere inside the dungeon to represent sort of the location of my boss and its sort of powers and minions around it in the map, and I can draw it anywhere I want to such that it matches this shape, can't rotate, can't flip, must be exactly this shape in this map, and I need to be able to write a star or draw the location of my boss in that location, in that area of the map. So I can never make it so that that space is overlapping one of these gray spaces, because these are walls in the dungeon, and clearly the boss can't be inside of the wall. So let's see, we've got 4 crystals to spend. I definitely want a rune because that could potentially protect me from things later. And looking at my starting map, I think I'm going to draw that shape in this area like that. So I can see that this space right here is a dead space. If I put there, that means this is a dead space. And rune doesn't need to be in a specific location to activate. So I am going to write the R for rune in there. And doing that, I've spent 2 of the 4 crystals. Means I think I might take 1 each of the other 3 things, a slash, a bash, and an armor. And again, the armor doesn't matter where it is. I can just discard a die to block anything. But I think I'm going to put that here in the corner. So that's 3 crystals. I'm going to put a slash over here. That's my 4th crystal, but bash is free, and I am going to put 1 of those over here like that. And then, as I mentioned, I need to draw this shape into my dungeon, so I think I'm going to end up putting that here. So that way, down, over 3, up there, and over 4 like that. I do hope that you can see that fairly well on the screen. And then in the space where the boss is, I should put a star just to show me that is the boss's location. Beyond that, though, none of these things will be written on the board. Now, that said, I do like to write just a sort of tiny little reminder to me for the bash and slash where they are, so I remember to activate them later on. But they're not a permanent addition to the dungeon. They're simply going to be activated if the heroes end up in those spaces on the board. So with that, we're all set up for this dungeon, and now we're going to go into playing through that dungeon. And the way that's going to work, and let me sort of walk you through one turn while I take that turn, is the first thing I'm going to do is roll a number of dice as shown at the top right corner of that dungeon, which in this case is 1 white and 2 green. The white dice are hero dice, the green dice are my monster dice or my evil boss dice. And I am going to roll all 3 of those. Oops. Rolling here, I've got a 5, a 4, and a 1. So first things first, I'm going to activate the good dice, which in this case is just 1. We are going to find the number of that die and then find the hero associated with that die. And you see there are only 5 heroes, means if I do ever roll a 6 on the good die, nothing happens. I get lucky that round, but I did roll a 5. So the next thing I want to do is look at this arrow. Let me just show you up close for this character. I want to look at this arrow, and I'm going to start at the door of the dungeon, which is right here, moving that many spaces in that direction, marking then the number of that hero. And that is Mira the Ranger. And it says after she moves, I'm going to roll the die again to determine a column and deal 1 damage to all threats in that column. So let me show you how all of that works. Starting at the door, moving to the right 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. She stops there. Now you'll see in later rounds I might have traps that I've laid out, and if the trap's activated, they would activate now. After stopping, she then does what she does, which is, again, roll her die again. She's now attacking column 2, so she's going to attack anything in column 2. And anytime a hero attacks, if their attack can impact any of the spaces inside that grid that I drew representing sort of my boss area, the boss is also going to take that damage. So she's doing 1 damage in this whole second column. And because of that, my boss is also taking damage because there are spaces in that area that do get hit. And that is a 2. So I am taking 1 damage. Now, at this point, I could choose to use my armor by discarding 1 of these dice. And I think that might be a good idea because it's early enough and there's no reason not to. 1 or 4. Actually, you know what? It's just a single damage. Let's take the damage. So So I'm going to cross off one of my health, and you'll see here I do have 20 health. If I ever run out of health, that is the end of the game. And I lose completely 0 points if that should happen. Also then, after dealing with that attack or the ability of that hero, I'm going to check the column and the row that that hero is stopped in, looking for any treasures that are in those rows and columns. So right here you can see there is a key in the same column as that number. So I'm going to circle down here that that hero has picked up the key. And those things that they pick up at the end of the game, any heroes that remain, I'm going to basically be losing points for every item that they've picked up along the way. And that item doesn't get crossed off. It could still be picked up by any other hero along the way. But now we move into my part of the turn. And now I've got the bad dice, the evil dice here, a 4 and a 1, that I can use my stuff up here, monsters and traps, to try and set up the dungeon to hurt the heroes in the future and or to add monsters next to the hero right now to attack them. So let me show you what we've got. I've got a gargoyle and a shade, a horror shade. The shade here is what I need to get rid of to use that rune that I showed you before. To place out a gargoyle, I can use any value die. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the letter G in any space in the dungeon, and they will instantly do 1 damage to one target adjacent to them. And adjacency here is orthogonally only, not diagonal. The shade is also 1 adjacent damage to one target. But to place them out, I need to place any, or use, activate any 2 of my dice between 2 and 5. But the difference here is, on a turn, instead of writing a shade on the map, I can use any 2 of those dice to instead fill in one of these circles. And as I do that, I will be leveling up this shade. So when I finish these 2, they'll do 2 damage instead of 1. And if I fill in these 2 circles, they'll actually be able to attack 2 adjacent targets rather than only 1. Over here we have traps, and traps only activate when the trigger happens. So I can activate a 1, 2, or 3 right now to add a chopping blade to the board, which I do by writing a C. And that's going to affect a column in the dungeon. If a hero, after moving, ever lands in the column associated with one of these blades, I'm going to roll a die, and if it's 1 to 4, that hero will take 1 damage. Poison Dart works on rows, so I would write a P in the dungeon. And anytime a hero is in the row of that poison, again, rolling 1 to 4, the character is going to get poisoned. And poison means that anytime that hero takes a turn or is activated, they will take 1 damage. So again, I have 1 and a 4 right now, which means only Chopping Blade or Gargoyle. I should also mention that once a monster is out on the board, I can use that value again, or those values again, to reactivate that monster. So if I place the Gargoyle next to this 5, and I play it again, they will attack that space twice, which could be good. Except that the last thing I kind of need to tell you about the dungeon is the way that a dungeon is going to end is when all of these green spaces are filled in with anything. When those are completely filled, we will then move on to the next dungeon. Which means that right now, if I write a gargoyle on here, it's going to be in one of these 3 green spaces, or it's meaningless because it does mean that generally when a hero moves, they're going to attack things near it, which means if I put something somewhere else, hoping they'll move next to it, it'll probably just get killed by that hero. So I'd kind of like to put out a chopping blade, but the only other thing I can do, the only thing I can use this for is a gargoyle, unless I had a 2, 3, 4, or 5 to go with it. So I think my best bet is to actually use the gargoyle. So I'm going to use the gargoyle, putting it up top here. G, using the 1 evil die. And that's instantly going to do 1 damage to hero 5, crossing off 1 of its health. And again, reactivating the gargoyle with my 4, doing the same thing, crossing off a 2nd health for hero 5. And we move to the next turn. All right, so now we're activating hero 4. Hero 4 says Flynn the Thief, moving down 3. So again, starting from the door, moving down 1, 2, 3. They get drawn in there. And they're going to pick up that coin. And also it says, Flynn gains the next item he has not yet collected, so which would be the key. So they're going to take the key, and then it says attack 1 in their column. Well, Good news for me, there's nothing else in the column with them. Not my boss area and not any of my minions. Now I've got double 2s. And we know that if the 4 moves down 3, this is what I should pause and talk a little bit more about movement. Anybody who's moving up and down will wrap to the next column. Anybody who's moving rows will slide down to the next row. And they will always skip over spaces that already have things in them, not counting those spaces when moving. So this 4, if it moved again, would go 1, 2, 3 to this space. And 5, if it moved again, would go 1, 2, 3, 4 to this space. Let me do that 4 again. 1, 2, 3. They both end up in this row, which means I don't have a 6. I was looking to put a poison, but I can't. So what I could do now is I could put another chopping blade. I could activate the gargoyle twice. I could make a new gargoyle and activate one of them again, or I could spend both of those to put out a shade. And realistically, there's no reason not to keep pounding on that 5 since it's still there. So I'm going to activate the gargoyle twice, hitting number 5 2 more times like that. Rolling my dice. All right, we've got 5, 5, 5. Means 5 is moving again. So they're going to go, first off, bye-bye 5, across off the space where they are. And they're moving 4 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4 puts them right there, like that. And then their thing again says roll and attack a column. They're attacking column 4. This is the last thing that I need to point out that I haven't yet. You will see that in column 4 is the star where my boss actually is. And the space where my boss actually is means I'm going to take an additional 1 damage. So she's doing 1 damage, plus 1 more because she's directly hitting my boss. So that's 2 damage. So I am going to get rid of one of these 5s to block one of those damage from my armor. So I will only take 1 damage like that. So I have 1 5 left. This gargoyle can't hit anything anymore. I should also point out this 5 should have picked up the coin from being there. All right, then with a 5, the only thing I can do with a single 5 is gargoyle. And I don't want to put a gargoyle where the B is because that is potentially how I can hit directly without having a creature there. So I'm going to put the gargoyle here again and pound on 5 one more time. Like that. Rolling dice. 2, 4, 6. All right, so 2 is coming out. Zafin the wizard moves down 1. So Zafin goes right here into that space like that and says roll a die, and if it's 5 or 6, I'm going to hit everything within 3 spaces. And it is a 5. Great. So they're doing 2 damage against everything within 3 spaces. So this gargoyle is now dead. My boss is going to take damage, but let's see. 1, 2, 3. They can't reach the star. So the boss is taking 2 damage only. Number 2 also picks up the coin from the column and the key from the row. And let me deal with this damage. I can block 1 with that or that. Kind of want to put out some poison. So I'm going to get rid of that 4 to block 1, taking 1 damage. And we're going to put out our first poison darts. If 2 activates, they move down 1, which puts them up top. If 5 activates, they move 1, 2, 3, 4 to this spot. And if 4 activates, 1, 2, 3, all the way down here now because of that gargoyle. But, yeah, I'm going to put some poison out here. Like that. Yes. Yes. Okay. Next turn. 4, 3, 6. 4 activates going 1, 2, 3 down here. That's gone. They pick up potion. Where's 4? Here. Like that. I missed with the poison. I got a 3 and a 6. Let's see. If 5 moves, 1, 2, 3, 4 into that spot. If 4 moves, 1, 2, 3 into that spot. If 2 moves, they're going to end up here. Or here. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to use that 3 to put a chopping blade up here. It's not super helpful right now, but if 2 ends up moving, they're going to move here, which means I'll hit them with the chopping blade and I can bash. Cool. Now I've got a 6 left. With a 6, I might as well put out a gargoyle to hit number 4 here. So I do 1 damage to 4. Four is moving again. And 4 goes down 3. I forgot to attack with 4 last time, but I didn't activate it at all. They should have attacked their column. There was nothing there anyway. But they do gain the next item they've not collected. So the thief has now got all 4 items. But now they're moving again. From here is 1, 2, 3, 4 stops here, which is good for me, but also bad for me because they are attacking that column, means this gargoyle dies. I also take 1 damage for being in that column. And I think right now I'm going to take that damage. No, yes I am. I'm going to get rid of the 1 and take a damage. No, block the damage. But 4 is now in the row where P is. So 4 is now poisoned. I'm going to write a P in their status effect box. Means anytime they activate from now on, they will take 1 damage. I only have 1 die left to activate. And I am going to keep punching on 4. I'm going to put a gargoyle there. Like that. Which will do 1 more damage to 4 like that. 1, 2, 3. 3 is coming out for the first time. Gloria the Warrior comes from the door, moves right 2 spaces to this spot right here. And Gloria says, when she enters the dungeon, she's going to attack any threats within 2 spaces, otherwise just adjacent 2 damage. But that does mean within 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3. No, sorry, 1, 2, 3. She will hit both the boss and this gargoyle for 2 damage. So this gargoyle's dead. And, yeah, I'm going to block 1 more with my armor. So I take 1 damage only. But that means I only have 1 die to spend, which is a 2. Which could be a gargoyle or could be a chopping blade trap. Let's see. 3 goes down, no, over 2. 1, 2. I don't want to put a blade there. 4 is going to move down 3, means 1, 2, 3. Yeah, let's put a chopper here. Like that. All right, 6 means, yay, heroes don't do anything, which is good and bad. Because it means that nobody's moving. And this 6 doesn't help me. I wish this was 2 through 5 so I could do something with a shade, like leveling it up, but it's not. Where's 5? 5 is here. 5 is half dead. Let's see what we can do with 5. They would move 1, 2, 3 down to here. But if I block that, they end up here. That doesn't change anything at all. Yeah, I think I'm just going to put a gargoyle there, which means that bash won't do anything this game, but I'm going to hit 4 twice. 1 and 2 like that. 5, 5, 1. 5 is moving 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4 up here. It's 5. No poison, nothing else hitting there, but they are getting the green crystal. And I've got a 1 and a 5. Again, I can't deal with a shade. But I might as well use both of them to have that gargoyle continue pummeling 4. So I hit 4 2 more times like that. Hold on, but 5 should have attacked. 5 rolls a die and hits column 3, which is not my star, but it will hit me for 1, and I, take the damage. Okay. 3, 4, 6. 3 is moving again. 2 spaces to the right. So 1, 2 is 3. He gets green and potion. Sorry, she gets green and potion. Nothing in there. She attacks adjacent for 2 damage. Nothing is adjacent to her. 4 and 6. Yeah, Gargoyle kills hero 4. So they are gone forever. Now it's worth mentioning if I ever roll a 4 again on here, I'm simply going to activate the next hero wrapping around if necessary. 1, 6, 6. We got a new hero coming out, moving 2 to the right. Sigrid the Barbarian means 1 comes out there. And she says, I'm going to roll, and if it's 6, it will increase their damage, but they're only attacking adjacent. It's not a 6. There's nothing adjacent to them. Nothing. Double 6s doesn't really help me too much. I can't put things. I could beat up on him by filling in that spot. Yeah, let's do it. I'll put a gargoyle in there with 1 die that attacks and then the other, so I'm attacking twice to hero 3. 5, 1, 6. 5 moves 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4 is 5. Means they now have all of their items as well. And they are going to attack in column 4. Ouch. That's 1 plus the 1 because they did hit my star. That's 2 damage. Yeah, I'll block 1 damage, taking 1 damage, and use the other die to activate the gargoyle to hit 3 one more time. Like that. 1, 4, 6, 1. Sigrid moves 2 spaces to the right. So from here, 1, 2 is that one. And they're going to attack adjacent spaces. And that's not a 6. So 1 damage, but they are hitting my star. So that is 2 damage. But again, I'm going to block 1. And 6 will activate the gargoyle to hit 3 one more time, like that. Hold on. Too late. I could have used the 6 to do that to number 1 instead. Yeah, let's do that. So I didn't hit 3 that last time. I hit 1 instead because now they are bleeding. So anytime 1 gets hit again, they'll take double damage. 4, 6, 4. 4 is dead means 5 is moving. 4 spaces to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4 into this space. They're going to get hit by that trap potentially. Rolling the die is a 2. That is 1 through 4, so they take 1 damage. Like that. Means the 6 is going to hit number 1 again. No, hold on. Who should I hit? You know what? Let's just double hit 3. 1, 2, and now it's not going to matter who moves now. 5 is going to move all the way around until they get to that spot right there. I do finish this turnout though, so this trap does not hit, but I can hit the gargoyle attacking 3 2 more times. 1, 2, and that's the end of this dungeon. So moving on to the next dungeon, Red Eagle Inn, I get 5 crystals to add more things to my boss area. I'm going to add 1 more rune. I didn't get a chance to use it at all this time, but hold on. Where am I putting my shape this time? I'd love to go here, but then the boss is there and I can't. Actually, here might be perfect. If I put this into this area, like this right at the top. There's a lot of green there, which isn't great. But it means my boss goes in there. It means that top is R. It means I'm going to put the other R down here. I have 3 more to spend. I might as well do another slash. And I apologize for what I just did. Then I might as well put another slash here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 1 more to spend. Armor, as far as I know, every time I use it, I have to get rid of 1 die. So I could only do that twice by getting rid of 2 dice. Whereas the rune is stacking. It says cross out a shade, 1 damage per rune. So I might as well, yeah, but more slashes is not necessarily a good idea. I'm going to stop there. No, you know what? I'll add 1 bash here. Now we are rolling 2 and 2 this time, so the heroes are getting a bit more aggressive. So we start and see what happens. 4, 6. 6 means nothing. Yay. 4 means 5 because 4 is dead. 5 starts here, moves 1, 2, 3, 4 is 5. They've already got all their treasures, so that doesn't mean anything. I've got a 1 and a 6, but they're also standing in a location with slash. So I am going to use the 6 to do a damage and make them bleed. Because then if I play the 1 to put a gargoyle here and hit them, they're bleeding, so they take 1 additional damage. Hero 5 is now dead. Good. Rolling again. 1 and 3. All right, so 1 is going to move 2 spaces. 1, 2, coming out here. Nothing for them to get in that area. They attack adjacent. Whoops. Anyway, that's a 3. They are 5, not going to double attack. So they're attacking me for 1 damage, and I'm just going to take it. And then 3 is coming in, moving to the right 2 spaces. 1, 2, right there. 3 is attacking any threats within 2 spaces its first turn, attacking for 2 damage. Attacking for 2 damage. I'm going to get rid of that 6 and block 1. And then I am going to build a trap, a chopping blade, but let me figure out where. If 1 moves 2 spaces, 1, 2. If 3 moves 2 spaces, same thing. So that column seems like a good place to do it. But, yeah, let's put a chopping blade there. I hate to write it in a green space, but it's not a problem. 4, 6, 2, 6 does nothing. 4 now wraps to 1. 1 moves 2 spaces, 1, 2 into that spot, which means they are going to claim the crystal. I also get to roll to see if I hit them with my trap. 1 to 4 does, yay. So they take a damage, but they're also going to attack. I said attack, still only single because that's not a 6, adjacent. So they are doing 1 damage to me, and I'm going to take it. Because with a 4, 5, I can finally put out a shade somewhere. Or I can just upgrade. Yeah, I'm going to put a shade. I'm just going to put them out of the way, because I'm just going to use them to sacrifice to block 2 damage at some point. So we're just going to write them there. I'm not hurting the enemy, but we'll see what happens. 3, 4, 5. 5, so 3 goes first. Gloria moves 1, 2 into this spot, which means she now has a coin. And she's attacking adjacent for 2. Ouch, because there's me. So that's 3 damage. I lose this shade to block 2 and take a single damage. Then 4 means 5, no 1. Moves 1, 2 into this spot over here. I have 2 5s to spend. And I'm going to use them to upgrade a shade. 1 stop. All right, next. 4, 4, 5, 2. That means 1 is activating twice. So first 1, 1 comes here. Did I activate them last time? Yeah, I think I did. Okay, if not, then I'm sorry and I will fix that. I think I may not have. I think I should have 1 more damage from this 1. Potentially 2 if I roll. Yeah, I didn't roll for sure. No, that's 1 damage from that time, and now this time again, they're still where I am. So that's 1 more. But I will, yeah, I'm going to block one of those. This is the one from last turn that I forgot, and if I didn't, you will have seen that in the subtitle. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. Okay, then I've got just one die to spend. I am going to draw a gargoyle here to damage 1, 2 times because they are still bleeding. As far as I know, I didn't see anything in the rules about statuses going away in between dungeons. Yeah, it says status effect stays in play for the remainder of the game. Good. All right, then 3, 4, 5, 6. The 3 is Gloria moving right 2. 1, 2 is 3. And she's attacking me twice again. And I don't have any shades again. Wait, what am I doing? No. This is 5, 6, not 3, 4. I'm doing the dice in the back. Wrong order, sorry. 3 didn't move at all. 6 means nothing, and 5 is 1 is moving, actually. 1, 2. Huh? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What did I do? 1 came out here. And then here. And then here. Oh, yeah, and then 1, 2 is here. Okay. So that's forgot to cross off. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes, okay. So from this point, 1, 2 comes here, like that. Which means that one didn't attack me and I was just on the wrong turn. So I did too many of those. Sorry, slowing down. Same thing here. This 3 should have been crossed off when they moved there. Okay. Then this 1 is hurting me for 1, just 1. But I will take it. They also get a key from there. So I do take that 1 damage from them. But I'm going to use my 3, 4 to put another gargoyle out, because I can do that with 1 die and activate twice. Each time they're bleeding, they get hit 2. So 1, 2, 1, 2, like that. All right, so now we've got a 3, 4. This is what was happening last time. So he moves 1, 2 to come here. Which means they do get, no, they've already got the coin. But they are attacking me for 2. Yes, so I'm going to block 1 of those and take 1 damage. And then the other die 4 wraps around a 1 who moves twice. 1, 2 coming here. Like that. They can't reach me, but I can't reach them either. But I can. I still have 1 die left, so I'm going to put another gargoyle there. Hold on, it doesn't matter, but they should get that potion too, but they're going to die right now. Gargoyle hits them bleeding. 1, 2. They are also dead. Like that. So just Zoffin and Gloria left. Zoffin still hasn't even entered. The 6 does nothing. Gloria is moving again. 1, 2 into this space right here. They're attacking adjacent. They can't hit me at all. And with those dice, I might as well put a gargoyle here and hit twice. 1, 2, like that. All right, 2, 2. Zaffin's happening twice. 3, 4 for me. He comes out of the door moving down once. Puts them there. They've already got a coin. Then I'm going to roll. And if I hit 5 or a 6, I'm taking double damage. And I did, of course. So I kind of need to block something. Yeah, we're going to block 1. So I still take a damage. Then they're moving again. Down 1. No, no. Yes is 2. No new treasures there. Let's see if they hit again. They did not. All right. Then, there's nothing I can do about them. And I only have 1 die left because I blocked. So that's it. That's it. I can't do anything. All right, so 2 and 6. 6 does nothing. 2 is Zoffin moving down to here. Means they have coin and potions now. And they're going to roll to see if they hit me. They do, again, 2 damage. I will block one of those. And there's nothing else I can do because there's no other spaces for me to write into, so that is the end of this dungeon. Moving into my final dungeon. The sewers. We're getting close. Gloria's almost dead. Zaffin's still fresh, though. Where am I putting my thing? I should put it in a space that's going to hurt people. But, yeah, let's just do this top corner. Like this, up here. Right, 4, 4, 3. Means my boss is here. Then, I'm going to add one more rune. I get 6 more to spend, and I don't really need that many. I'm going to do that, and I'll put a bash there. So let me just write these on here because I may have forgotten to use them in the last dungeon. There's an S there, and there's nothing. Okay, that's that. Again, 2 white, 2 black, or 2 good and 2 evil. Let's see what we can do. 4 and 5 are both dead. That means 4 is activating 2 and 5 is activating 2. So let's see what happens. First, whoops. Zaffin comes out of the door, going down 1 to this spot. Already has a key, already has a potion, so nothing. Attacking, yes. Wow, okay. Well, I'm gonna block 1. So I take a damage. Then, hold on a minute. 1, 2, 3, I'm in range, but not my star. But this last one was 1, 2, 3 was there. I don't know about that one. Yeah, I think I may have missed some damage, but I'm going to take an extra one there because that one was absolutely 1, 2, 3 away. This one is not, so we're good. But now he's activating again. No big deal, moves there. 1, 2, 3, can't reach me. Good. Then I got a 6 left. So Zaffin's going to move down 1. I'm going to put a poison right there. Like that. 2, 4, 3, 6. So with the 2, Zaffin moves down 1 space, means here, into the bash spot. Again, coins they already have. Gems they pick up now. And they are potentially hitting me for 3 if they roll a 5 or a 6. They did not. Good. But they are now poisoned, which is great because they are activating again. So they are going to take a damage from that. And they move down 1 more space. But I don't know when the boss abilities happen. On a single activation, it's obvious, but on a double activation, I don't know. I think probably they keep moving. So they're going to move to here, too. And now they're rolling again, which could be 3 damage. 4, we're safe. Then I get to bash with this 6, because they are on a bash spot. So they take 1 damage. Then with this 3, I will put a gargoyle here and hit them 1 more time. All right, 6 does nothing. 3 is Gloria coming out of the door, 2 spaces right. 1, 2. Gets a coin and a potion, which they already have, plus the key. So she's maxed out. And 3 says they're going to attack any threats within 2 spaces, which is me for 2. So yeah, I'm going to block 1. So I do take a damage, but that means my second die, I can put a gargoyle there and kill Gloria. Bye-bye. Like that. So all that's left is me and Zaffin. Do I survive or will he kill me? I only have 2 health left. 3 and 6. 6 is nothing. Zafin goes once from here to here, which means if he rolls a 5 or a 6, I'm dead. And there is the end of the game because I can only block 1. And yeah, 1, 2, bye-bye, Thera. Nice knowing you. So that is Dungeon Pages Underboss. Again, there will be many different bosses, many different maps, and many different heroes, but that should give you an idea how the game plays. As far as components go, the only components that you're given are the PDF file of this. But I do want to say the iconography in this game is very nice. Everything is very well organized on the sheet, and also just showing you up closer, I really love the artwork in this game. This is the true for all of the PNPs that they've put out so far, but really, really cool character design, just showing you the different heroes as well. Great looking game. Again, iconography very easy to understand. And well, I guess we should score, but nobody survived. Well, I didn't survive, so I get a big fat 0. You could see, and I should point this out, I'm allowed to be writing things in the green spaces, means if I'm worried about dying like that, I could accelerate the game by filling in green spaces myself. Just so you understand how scoring does work, though, at the end of the game, I would score 10 points for every hero that I defeated, which actually was 4 now because Gloria just passed. 1, 2, 3, 4 would have been 40 points, and then subtracting 1 point for coin, 2 points for potion, 3 points for gems, and 5 points for keys. So that's another thing I didn't really pay attention to, but by placing my traps and monsters in locations that are in the rows and columns of those treasures, I can sort of force the heroes to go into spaces where they don't pick up items along the way as well. And I didn't really focus too much on there. I just want to point that out, that that is part of the game as well, that you can sort of think that way rather than just trying to eliminate everybody. And also sort of protecting yourself, trying to block off spaces so they don't get close enough to you to hit you as well. In any case, that is the game. That's basically all I have to show you here on the table. Maybe back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. Things were looking pretty good for a while in that playthrough, but yep, at the end, Hero stood up and took me down. That's it, game over. But that is Dungeon Pages Underboss. So, this is now a game that is several in a series. There was Dungeon Pages, the original one, which I played quite a bit of. Then came Dangerous Space, which was sort of a sci-fi reimplementation of that core game with some extra stuff added and some things changed along the way. And I did cover that one for the channel. If you'd like to see it, check out the link that I'm pointing to right here. There was another one that came out after that called Power Creep, I believe, that continued the sort of evolution of this game, and now we've got this going back to the Dungeon Pages IP and flipping things to make you the bad guy, except now this is definitely changing the core gameplay quite a bit. So in the original game, you were sort of rolling dice and writing numbers into the dungeon, sort of trying to make sequential chains of numbers across a space, trying to avoid enemies, trying to take out enemies, trying to collect different kinds of items along the way, and so on. The original Dungeon Pages broke the dungeon into sort of smaller rooms, and you had to pick which one to go to and which order to do them in, trying to clear them all and then fight off the boss. And I enjoyed it quite a bit. I really enjoyed the core mechanical loop of it, but for me that one always felt a little bit long because there were so many small dungeons, and it was always a tricky puzzle in my head which ones to do when and which order to do them. So I did enjoy Dangerous Space quite a bit more because that just gave you sort of one big map that you were working your way through, and it connected with my brain a little bit more. I never had a chance to try Power Creep, but when the publisher reached out to me about this new game and asked if I was interested in covering it, I absolutely was, because I've definitely been interested in what they are doing with Roll and Write, what they are attempting to change, or sort of the different kinds of gameplay they're trying to bring out here with Roll and Write games, and I've always appreciated that. The original Dungeon Pages didn't completely work for me, and Dangerous Space was better, but ultimately it's not something that I was super excited to get into. So I was a little bit hesitant, but I was definitely interested because always, even when I didn't completely connect with the game, the mechanisms here and the way that they're using Roll and Write always has felt fresh to me, and it's always been an interesting gameplay sort of style for me. And this game completely changes things up. This is not now about connecting sort of lines of numbers increasing or decreasing across a space, trying to get to certain places and get certain things done. This is a completely different experience. And I think that I enjoy this experience even more than the previous one because this is something I've never really seen done before. There's sort of two things happening on every map in this game. And that is you're rolling dice for both yourself as the monsters, as the boss of the dungeon, as well as dice for the heroes that are exploring the dungeon. And it's really interesting because there's this sort of dual game that's happening here. In the original games, the enemy dice were sort of just activating the enemies, and those enemies were sort of just shooting in straight lines or shooting in whatever pattern they were, attacking something on the map. And if you were in the wrong place, you'd get attacked by those enemies. Well, in this case, the dice for the heroes, who are the enemies in this game, are actually moving them around the board, which is really, really interesting to me because I'm not sure that I've ever seen a roll and write game where there was dynamic motion of anything other than yourself on the board. And that was really, really cool to see here because when you roll the value of one of the heroes in the dungeon, that hero progresses to a new location in the dungeon. And that's going to depend on which hero is being activated because each hero has a direction and a value for their movement, and that hero is going to continue moving in that direction, wrapping to the next row or next column in that direction, moving forward a number of empty spaces equal to the value on their sort of activation square on the paper. And then once they get there, they're going to do whatever that character does as their activation, attacking adjacent, attacking at a range, attacking a column, attacking a diagonal line, attacking a certain number of spaces away, rolling a die and attacking a specific column or row based on the rolled die, etc., to do damage in some way. So you're paying attention to this sort of randomly changing, randomly I say randomly based on the die roll, based on who's going to activate randomly changing state of the dungeon, except it's predictably randomly changing because each of these characters will move in a specific way when they activate. You don't know when they're going to activate, you don't know which ones are going to activate, so some of them may never even enter into a specific room of your dungeon because they don't activate during that entire map just based on the dice roll. But you can kind of predict where things might end up. And that's going to be important because your dice are what you're using to add things into the dungeon, both monsters that are sort of your minions attacking the heroes, and then also traps that you can lay out for the heroes. But in addition to those traps and monsters, you also have the sort of dungeon itself. You, as the boss of the dungeon, have already sort of installed things in those rooms of the dungeon. And what that means is you've got this small grid of a specific kind of shape that at the start of every round, at the start of every sort of room in this dungeon, you're going to spend a certain amount of crystals, basically your monetary value, to buy new things that go into your boss zone, your grid on the board, that are going to be things that could potentially protect you, could be things that potentially attack the enemies when they land on those spaces, and so on. And once you've slotted them into your boss grid, at the start of every round, sort of every room, you're going to slot that grid into the map of that room somewhere so that you are sort of in that room in a specific place with special protections around you that are permanently installed in your surroundings, regardless of which room you're going into. So there's this sort of pre-preparation step of putting out some nasties in there already, surrounding you and protecting you. And then the dice that you're rolling every round are going to allow you to add in different enemies, monsters that you're putting into the map that will attack based on the type of monster that you're putting out. Generally, at least in the paper that the version that I saw, and again, there will be many of these just like there were with the original dungeon pages, but the ones that I saw were generally attacking adjacent, although one of them has the ability to level up. So instead of spending dice to place the monsters, you can actually spend dice to level up all instances of that monster moving forward, which might allow them to do more damage when they hit, or might allow them to hit multiple targets. So one of the things you can do is use your dice to place out a minion or a monster, and they will instantly attack whatever they can reach to attack. Or you can level them up. Or if they're already on the board, you can just spend the dice to reactivate them to have them attack based on their attack ability one more time. But then you've also got these traps. In this version, I had a sort of swinging metal, I can't remember, it began with a C and my brain is freezing right now, but basically a giant metal swingy thing that's killing things. And you also had a poison trap. And the swingy thing is going to hit a specific column, and the poison is going to hit a specific row. So I can place out those traps based on my dice. Specific dice can be used for specific traps to do certain things. So for the swingy one, if a hero ever landed in the column of that trap, I would roll a die, and on a 1 to 4, they'd get hit by the trap. On the poison one, if a hero ever landed in that row, again, I'd roll a die, and on a 1 to 4, they'd get poisoned. And poison mean at the start of every activation for the rest of the game, not just that room, but all other rooms, that specific hero would continuously take 1 damage every time they activated on their turn. So I can slowly winnow them away, even if I'm unable to hit them. There's also the ability to, from one of my original that sort of boss area upgrades, one of those, if I could hit them with it, when they landed on that space and I used the value 6 die, I could add bleeding to them, which means every time I hit them, I do 2 damage instead of 1 damage, which was extra helpful as well. Or sorry, plus 1 damage, because some of my attacks could be 2 damage when upgraded. But the point is this. I've got 2 dice for the good guys, for the heroes, that drive them around the dungeon. Or maybe even just 1 die, depending on which of the rooms I'm activating at any given time. But I've got these dice for the good guys that's moving them around dynamically on the board. And I've got dice for me that are allowing me to place things out that either might hit things in the future or might right now be attacking somebody who's standing there getting hit. And the cool thing is, if I put a guy there, a monster, say a gargoyle, which was one of the ones in this version, pummeling on this guy, if he activates and moves out of the way, well, now I can't hit anybody anymore. But if I roll and a different guy moves, a different hero moves, I can keep wailing on that one that didn't move at all. But also I can think ahead because I know where they could potentially go based on where the open spaces are on the board and based on the different movement sort of style or the different movement values for each of the different heroes. I can plan out the best locations to put out these poison row traps and these column swingy traps to do as much damage as I possibly can along the way, predicting where the heroes might end up. But again, while the heroes are traversing and moving dynamically through these dungeons, if they ever end up in a column or a row that has an item printed on it, they're going to take that item or treasure or whatever it is, and if they collect as many treasures as they can at the end of the game, however many treasures or items are held by the heroes that haven't died, I'm going to lose points for. So in addition to trying to place things out, and this is where I don't get as deep into the game as I probably should do, I can place things out not to do damage to the heroes, but remember, anywhere I put something is a space that the hero can no longer go into. So I can sort of force the heroes to avoid specific columns and rows, forcing the heroes to miss picking up certain items because I didn't allow them to go there. Or block off certain areas so they do go to different areas and then get attacked by traps in those areas. Or, remember, the heroes are attacking something wherever they land. I didn't mention this yet, but that boss zone where I am inside of in every map, if the hero is able to hit any space in that zone, I as the boss will take damage. And if they're able to hit the exact space where I as the boss am supposed to be standing, I will take an additional 1 damage. So I can also place things out to sort of keep them away from that zone as much as possible. If I fill up that area, they can't go into that area, for example. So it's not just me placing out to get rid of the heroes, but it's also me placing out to avoid letting them get items and to avoid letting them do damage as much as possible to the things that I've already put out into the dungeon. So there's a whole lot of thought that goes into, well, here's this random dynamic movement engine that's playing off of a set of dice. But then I have another set of dice that I'm using to then interact with this dynamic movement. So you've got a sort of input randomness and output randomness kind of thing happening at the same time. And it really makes for an interesting puzzle that I've never seen anything quite like before. Now, granted, I've played this now with 1 boss, 1 set of maps, and 1 set of heroes. There are a variety of more maps and heroes and enemy monster types and trap types and boss abilities and so on that will be coming out with this, just like came with Dungeon Pages. So while I have played this one a bunch now for this video, and I'm sort of starting to see lots of the same kind of thing happening, by mixing and matching these different pages together, you're going to get a wide variety of different stuff that you can do. And I'm very excited to see what other kinds of twists they add to this puzzle going forward in this movement space. because it's really cool to see this dynamic movement happening in a roll and write that I'm then trying to deal with in some way using other sets of dice, trying to plan ahead by placing out traps, trying to plan ahead by leveling up monsters instead of maybe putting them out now, because then if I put them out later, they'll be even stronger. Trying to work on things like poison and bleeding that will continuously hit the heroes on future turns, trying my best to avoid getting hit by using abilities that protect myself, trying my best to keep the heroes out of spaces that will get them items along the way. There is so much going on in this game with a very simple mechanical loop with so much sort of decision space that builds off of it. And I think this is a really, really cool thing to check out. And it is a print and play game, but it's a print and play game that requires you to print out a sheet, or a sheet for each set of things, which you can cut and sort of rearrange and mix and match. Really, really simple to make, really, really simple to get into, but lots of complexity that you can play with once you get into that simple sort of core gameplay loop of this game. I think what I'm seeing here is really, really cool. And as a print and play thing, which is very likely going to be very reasonably priced, and that's going to continuously have more and more content coming for it. This is, of these PNP Arcade games that I've played so far, this is the one that's got me most excited to see more, to try more, to see the different combinations. I'm a big fan of everything I've seen, and again, this is only based off of one sheet, and only based off of a couple of plays of that one sheet. So keep that in mind, listening to what I'm saying, but I'm really, really enjoying what I've seen so far. This campaign is set to go live on Kickstarter on Black Friday, so just a little bit, 1 week after this, no, sorry, a little bit less than 1 week after this video is going live. I have put the link to the campaign down below, so if you're watching it now, when this video goes live, you can go check out the preview page, and if you're waiting until after its launch, well, head on over and check out the campaign itself. If this seems like something you'd be interested in, this is absolutely something I recommend that you try out, because it is a very unique and interesting experience. But that's basically all I have to say about this game. I hope that this video was helpful for you, and as always, if it was, I do ask that you please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.